Hello Internet, Andrew Potter back at you again reading another chapter from Life of Pi. I have done some skimming ahead, and this video I think will be a little bit shorter because I'll only be reading chapter 7, which is a shorter chapter, but that is only because chapter 8 is a longer chapter, 11 pages, so I think I'm going to make that all its own video, not wanting to make these too long. So yeah, today I'll only be reading chapter 7, but in the next video I will be reading all of chapter 8 as one, so we'll see how that goes. Here we go. Chapter 7. It was my luck to have a few good teachers in my youth, men and women who came into my dark head and lit a match. One of these was Mr. Satash Kumar, my biology teacher at Petit Séminaire, and an active communist who was always hoping Tamil Nadu would stop electing movie stars and go the way of Kerala. I don't understand those references. I'm assuming that's some sort of Indian history that I'm just not aware of. He had a most peculiar appearance. The top of his head was bald and pointy, yet he had the most impressive jowls I've ever seen, and his narrow shoulders gave way to a massive stomach that looked like the base of a mountain, except the mountain stood in thin air, for it stopped abruptly and disappeared horizontally into his pants. It's a mystery to me how his stick-like legs supported the weight above him, and they did, though they moved in surprising ways at times, as if his knees could bend in any direction. His construction was geometric. He looked like two triangles, a small one and a larger one, balanced on two parallel lines, but organic, quite warty actually, and with sprigs of black hair sticking out of his ears, and friendly. His smile seemed to take up the whole base of his triangular head. Oh, sorry, itchy. Mr. Kumar was the first avowed atheist I ever met. I discovered not in the classroom, but at the zoo. He was a regular visitor who read the labels and descriptive notices in their entirety and approved of every animal he saw. Each to him was a triumph of logic and mechanism, and nature as a whole was an exceptionally fine illustration of science. To his ears, when an animal felt the urge to mate, it said Gregor Mendel, recalling the father of genetics, and when it was time to slow its mettle, Charles Darwin, the father of natural selection. And what we took to be bleating, grunting, hissing, snorting, roaring, growling, howling, chirping, and screeching were but the thick accents of foreigners. I like that. I like that idea of just, the idea that animals speak a language that we just can't translate as a verbal language. I mean, and just the use of all the different noises that animals make there. That was a really good use. When Mr. Kumar visited the zoo, it was to take the pulse of the universe, and his stethoscope mind always confirmed to him that everything was in order, that everything was order. He left the zoo feeling scientifically refreshed. The first time I saw his triangular form teetering and tottering about the zoo, I was shy to approach him. As much as I liked him as a teacher, he was a figure of authority, and I, a subject. I was a little afraid of him. I observed him at a distance. He had just come to the rhinoceros pit. The two Indian rhinos were great attractions at the zoo because of the goats. Rhinos are social animals, and when we got Peak, a young wild male, he was showing signs of suffering from isolation, and he was eating less and less. As a stopgap measure, while we were searched for a female, Father thought of seeing if Peak couldn't be accustomed to living with goats. If it worked, it would save a valuable animal. If it didn't, it would only cost a few goats. That's barbaric. It worked marvelously. Peak and the herd of goats became inseparable, even when Summit arrived. Now when the rhino bathed, the goats stood around at the muddy pool, and when the goats ate in their corner, Peak and Summit stood next to them like guards. The living arrangement was quite popular with the public. I like that idea of two rhinos and a bunch of goats. That's cute. Mr. Kumar looked up and saw me. He smiled, and one hand holding onto the railing, the other waving, signaled me to come over. "Hello, Pi," he said. "Hello, sir. It's good to see you come to the zoo." "I come here all the time. One might say it's my temple. This is interesting." He was indicating the pit. "If we had politicians like these goats and rhinos, we'd have fewer problems in our country. Unfortunately, we have a prime minister who has the armor plating of a rhinoceros, without any of its good sense." I don't get that a lot of the time when adults try to make like political commentary to kids. Like, they're not gonna get it. Even most adults don't pay attention to politics, let alone kids, so I don't know, I never got that. I didn't know much about politics, see? Father and mother complained regularly about Miss Gandhi, but it meant little to me. She lived far away in the north, not at the zoo, and not in Pondicherry, but I felt I had to say something. Religion will save us, I said. Since when I could remember, religion had been very close to my heart. Religion? Mr. Kumar grinned broadly. I don't believe in religion. Religion is darkness. Darkness? I was puzzled. I thought. Darkness is the last thing religion is. Religion is light. Was he testing me? Was he saying religion is darkness, the way sometimes said in class things like mammals lay eggs, to see if someone would correct him? Only platypuses, sir. Did I know platypuses lay eggs? No, I didn't. I thought they gave live birth. Huh. There are no grounds for going beyond a scientific explanation of reality, and no sound reason for believing anything but our sense experience. A clear intellect, close attention to detail, and little scientific knowledge will expose religion as superstitious bosh. God does not exist. Did he say that? Or am I remembering the lines of later atheists? At any rate, it was something of the sort. I never heard such words. Why tolerate darkness? Everything is here and clear, if only we look carefully. He was pointing at Peake. Now though I had great admiration for Peake, I never thought of a rhinoceros as a light bulb. He spoke again. Some people say God died during the Parthian of 1947. He may have died in 1971 during the war. Or he may have died yesterday, here in Pondicherry, in an orphanage. That's what people say, Pi. When I was your age, I lived in bed, racked with polio. I asked myself every day, where is God? Where is God? Where is God? God never came. It wasn't God who saved me, it was medicine. Reason is my prophet, and it tells me that as a watch stops, so we die. It's the end. If the watch doesn't work properly, it must be fixed here and now by us. One day we will take hold of the means of production, and there will be justice on earth. Down with the bourgeoisie! Revolution! This was all a bit much for me. The tone was right, loving and brave, but the details seemed bleak. I said nothing. It wasn't for fear of angering Mr. Kumar. I was more afraid that in a few words thrown out, he might destroy everything that I loved. What if his words had the effect of polio on me? What a terrible disease that must be if it could kill God in a man. He walked off, pitching and rolling in the wild sea. That was the steady ground. Don't forget the test on Tuesday. Study hard. 3.14. Yes, Mr. Kumar. He became my favorite teacher at Petit Séminaire, and the reason I studied zoology at the University of Toronto. I felt a kinship with him. It was my first clue that atheists are my brothers and sisters of different faith, and every word they speak speaks of faith. Like me, they go as far as the legs of reason will carry them, and then they leap. I'll be honest about it. It is not atheists who get stuck in my craw, but agnostics. Doubt is useful for a while. We must all pass through the garden of Gethsemane. If Christ played with doubt, so must we. If Christ spent an anguished night in prayer, if he burst out from the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? Then surely we are also permitted doubt. But we must move on. To choose doubt as a philosophy of life is akin to choosing immobility as a means of transportation. Whoa, that got deep. How do I feel about that? Well, I didn't want to get super deep this early into my channel, but I'm agnostic, leaning more atheist, honestly. I think there's a lot of questions about if there's a God that he or she has a lot to answer to. That's not the point of the channel, though. I think it's really, really deep to have this religious child questioning. You know, I think that would be important, though. If you were religious, I think it would make sense that the first moment you met an atheist or even an agnostic would be an important moment in your life, because that's the first time that you start to question, and I think that questioning is very important. As an atheist leaning agnostic, I've never really questioned it before. The first time that I've met an atheist, I don't know if I've ever met a true atheist. I've met many religious people of different beliefs, and it doesn't necessarily like throw me off. One of my great friends from high school is very religious, very Catholic. But yeah, like I think that was a moment that made me think in the book. I can definitely say that was a chapter that definitely made me think of, yeah, if you were a religious person and you met an atheist for the first time in your life, how would that affect you? What would that make you think of? I do love that his teacher calls him 3.14. It's actually written like that in the book, 3.14, so that's how I'm saying he said it. And I think that's great. If I had a student who addressed themselves as pi, I would definitely make like, I mean, I guess this is why I make dad jokes all the time, but like I would totally call him 3.14, or like his brother did, I'd call him like lemon or apple or something like that. Yeah, no, I'm really liking this book. Oh, I'm just thinking of it now, but if you're wondering, yes, I'm proving Canadian stereotype right now because it is the middle of July and I'm cold, so I'm wearing a sweater. It's mostly my forearms that get cold, but yeah, so that's why I'm wearing a sweater. And I said this on my Immortal videos. I don't know if those have gone, I don't know if that one has gone up yet, but I'm going to mention it now. Like I said, when I am completely done this book, I'm going to do an additional episode that will be just me answering questions about the book. So feel free to comment below if there's any times that there's a character I didn't talk enough about that you guys want my opinion on. If there's a use of language, if there's a moment in the book, anything about the book that you want me to really talk about, let me know, comment it below, and I'll definitely do that when I'm done everything. Other than that, I'm just gonna like Google, you know, like teacher questions or something about it and answer those and do that for an episode. But I want to answer you guys' questions too, so if you have questions about it, feel free to comment those below. Alright, so feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good night.